still be able to provide trainings locally, just virtual, unless we have hired or trained additional trainers to be in the area. So that's my update. I did travel to Canada 2 weeks ago, and I brought back some Peace by Chocolate. It's an organization that started in Syria, and then they immigrated to Nova Scotia and started up their chocolate factory again in Nova Scotia. So this is for the commission. And then I brought more stickers now that I'm in person. So these are actually from a Canadian organization. I grabbed a couple because I liked how big they were. And then I have my welcome to your stickers. So you are more than welcome to, I use that word a lot. Take whatever you'd like, if you'd like to take
If
anything.
anyone that is here virtually would like, not the chocolate, because the chocolate will be.
Sorry.
But if any of you would like stickers, please let us know and I will get them mailed out to you.
Yeah.
As commissioners,
Oh, yeah. Feel free.
commissioners, do we have anything to say to the best part of this commission?
Oh, well, Susan, that's really disappointing to hear that you're moving. But good for you, bad for us. And your job
Bittersweet.
so you're going to be living in like
In
Hartford?
Connecticut. It's actually New London, Connecticut. We just don't know exactly where in Connecticut we will be living.
Actually,
It's a pretty little community. Right
we'll
on
miss you.
The sound.
And we'll miss your expertise.
Well, it's still provided, just not officially.
I appreciate that.
I have her on speed dial.
And you're going to work with helping to make AI accessible through the University of Connecticut system throughout
Through just Connecticut College.
Connecticut College.
Yeah, so it's a small liberal arts school. But my inclusive lens as it relates to AI is something that is pretty appealing to people. So this is an opportunity for me to help an entire campus focus on inclusive pedagogy as it relates to artificial intelligence.
Good for you
Yeah.
and good for
It's
the population of Connecticut.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and I'll still be partnering with NAU on different projects and things as it relates to teaching and learning. Yeah, it's bittersweet leaving.
Your
my staff.
expertise here will be missed for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, we need more people that know a lot more about ADA rules and laws
Yeah,
involved with us.
I do recommend and will encourage my colleague, Sandy Heath, to get more involved. She's the other certified therapeutic recreation specialist in the area. And was a full ADA coordinator for the state of Texas. So he's got a wealth of information that hopefully will be able to be tapped into.
But I'll still have Susan on speed dial. She'll still be available. Susan has become more than my vice chair. I consider her.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all of you. Yeah,
Trying not to cry.
I know.
Susan, can I
It was
say
a tough
something?
phone call to make to Rachel. Yeah, Joseph.
When I was on the paratransit this morning, and when I heard that you were leaving, it kind of shook me really. When I heard that Rachel was telling me that, it kind of shook. It honestly shook. I actually had somebody leaving. I actually had somebody leaving Divergent for me a couple months ago. It really almost shook me. It really shook me. And it's been an honor and a privilege to have you in our life, in our community, really.
Thank you, Joseph.
Really.
It's mutual, absolutely mutual.
These are for you.
Oh,
No,
I can't lean forward. I had surgery last week.
I got you. No,
So I can't lean forward.
I got you, yeah.
Oh, those are beautiful.
These are on behalf of the commission and all of the liaisons.
Thank you very much. They're beautiful. I love
Sorry. Anybody else want to say anything about Susan?
I'll be happy to just jump in real quick. On behalf of the city and myself personally, thank you so much for your service, your commitment. for your time that you've been here. It's been wonderful to get to know you, so I
Thank
wish you
you.
all the best.
Thank you. I'm not one to give up on my commitments, so it was definitely challenging in making decisions.
And Susan, we're gonna still advocate for therapeutic recreation in Flagstaff. It's on my list of
Good.
things to talk about today.
Truman's not going anywhere.
Yeah, and hopefully
Yeah.
Truman will be able to maybe get on the commission at some point as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
He just finished. Now he's gonna pass that exam.
We'll get them
I
on.
really appreciate you. It's been really great working with you, and I'm glad we'll still be able to reach out.
Yeah,
Although
absolutely.
you'll be missed, but congratulations to Connecticut for getting you.
It'll be
Congratulations.
interesting. Shift
Now you're
from
gonna
being faculty to being staff, as well. It's a different environment, so. I have a 37.5 hour work week.
How
What's
many?
that?
37.
Wow, maybe we should talk.
Yeah, give me these.
No papers yet? No papers?
No papers to
No
grade.
papers
I
to
can do
grade.
workshops galore with no grading.
No syllabi to put together?
Right? It's exciting.
You're talking to a teacher.
I know, right? It really is. It's an exciting time. That's for sure. And our children are at the right time. Hopefully we can find some special ed programs to be just as fantastic as Flagstaff special ed programs.
I
So
suspect you will.
I hope so. Yep. Anyway, so next item on the agenda.
Anyone else? I do see that Michelle says, happy that you're getting this amazing opportunity. However, you will be missed.
Thank you, Michelle. Definitely gonna be different. And I did talk to Sarah separately as well. And well, wasn't sure if she's gonna be.
We appreciate you. We know you can't stay very long, but as
I'm
long
gonna
as you
stay
can
for as long as I can.
All right, let's move on to, that's the only discussion item we have. So are we done?
Yes.
Mr. Susan?
That's my husband.
That's your husband.
Andrew.
I just had to get one in there, sorry.
He's my driver.
Thank you for taking care of Susan. We do appreciate it.
Really.
All right, moving on, action items, discussion and possible action regarding accessibility expeditions and audits, recommendation of support for barrier-free Flagstaff expeditions, discussion and possible approval of a letter of recommendation. And Russ, I'll let you take it from here since you are the founder of Barrier-Free Flagstaff.
Amongst others, but yes. And, barrier-free Flagstaff is off to a good start. Heath, help me out here. I think we formed like in December. Elida?
It was
I believe we
November or
might-
December.
It was November, December. I think Elida can result on
I
that.
might have notes.
I think Elida might have.
And you all know what barrier-free Flagstaff is about, is pursuing a accessible and inclusive Flagstaff for the entire community. And one of the things we, barrier-free Flagstaff does is facilitate accessibility expeditions in order to help bring about a more accessible and inclusive community. We've been meeting regularly every 2 weeks.
Yes.
And we did facilitate an accessibility expedition at Joe Montoya Senior Center in Thorpe Park. And that, I think, went really well. I wasn't able to be there, but Keith and Melania, you guys were there. And
Yes, it did go very well. The Joe Montoya Park was, the park and the building was very accessible. There were some things that could be worked on. Some things wouldn't cost very much to do. Other things that they need to focus on in the future is their parking lot. If they ever go and repave it or anything like that, to make that a little bit more ADA compliant. But for the most part, they did a very good job on a lot of it. There's little things, but little things are little things, a couple of sidewalks that need to be diamond ground, stuff like that, stuff that they could do relatively inexpensively. And so it went really well.
And of course, and kind of exploring the city park itself, Thorpe, the playground area, a lot of good stuff there. And I think I interviewed a lot of, were you on the commission then? When the new, when the new playground stuff all got put in and
It wasn't. Yeah, it was a long hiatus.
that was kind of a commission initiative, probably a decade ago. And I don't know, Rachel, you remember the old city park playground, what it was like with the old rocket? and not accessible at all. Through the efforts of the commission and then Parks and Rec, which pros now, more accessible playground equipment and just a safer, nicer place for kids to play. So that was kind of cool to see as well with the expedition. And of course, Barrier Free Flagstaff is also about educating folks about universal design and how through universal design, Flagstaff can be more inclusive and accessible.
For youth and young adults with disabilities, maybe.
Well, that's more the work of the community practice transition team, youth and young adults with disabilities, but
Yes, I'll
um,
let you finish on that.
no, you're good, Joe. And we met with, BFF has also met with Chief Connolly, and he's interested in being involved with BFF. We also met with Sheriff Axland and who's the, I'm trying to remember the guy who runs the detention center.
Don't ask me, I'm terrible with names.
No.
They are actually interested in having an expedition done at the detention center, which is like something accessibility expeditions have never occurred before at the detention center. But as we talked about with the sheriff, just because a person is incarcerated does not mean their ADA rights go away. Jason Sneed has also been very involved with us. And Jason isn't a lawyer. He works for the Developmental Disabilities Planning Council. So he's been really good kind of with regards to advising us in the legal sense. But yeah, we're looking at doing an expedition on July 25th. The anniversary, the 35th anniversary of the ADA is July 26th. That's a Saturday. So we're looking at doing the expedition on a Friday. We're looking at doing it right here at City Hall and the public library. So we think that's going to happen. We don't have everything laid out for that yet. But we think that's what's going to happen. So
And then what will you do with that information?
the people, Lauren and Sean, and Chris Lanterman, and Chris is not as involved right now because his life has some things going on. But Chris and Lauren really kind of developed the idea of the accessibility expeditions. Chris is really an old college student of mine, and we have been friends for 30 years. And Chris understands perhaps accessibility and inclusion in a different sort of way because he's blind. So his understanding is different, just like Joseph's is, because Joseph does use a wheelchair and yours, Rachel. But Lauren and Chris and Sean will generate and are generating a report for Joe Montoya.
And then what do you do with that report?
That report goes to the staff at Joe Montoya and pros in that case. When it happens here in the public library, that report will go to folks here, probably the city manager, Stacy, I guess. Probably Stacy, I don't know.
You can start with me, but we can get it distributed to our leadership team as well as our new risk manager.
So the
Right.
other thing that I might recommend is that you, if the commission adopts the letter and pushes it forward, bring it in front of the commission, let the commissioners vote on it, and then we can send it on to city council.
Sure.
And you know, the whole idea of the expedition is the city gets the information, they participate, so they have the information that we would have also. We all discuss things afterwards and so on and so forth. So the city already has all the information they would need because it's all about them getting the information rather than us getting the information. It's great for our group to also have it, see it, discuss it and things like that, because there may be something that our group can do to maybe move something forward a little bit or whatever. So, you know, the whole idea is teaching them what they need to know and learn and get them to see eyes on with a lot of it and experience. And so, you know, maybe we won't be needed in the future and they'll be able to look at things and say, you know, I remember this, you know, maybe we can work on it and fix it before or the next time we do something or remodel something, we should consider this or that. And the whole thing is bringing universal design into it. You know, like they did at the library. The library, you know, they were gonna have the entrance for wheelchairs around the corner, you know?
They were.
And when universal design says, if everybody can go in this entrance, the people in wheelchairs should be able to go in that same entrance. Whether it's feasible all the time, it's not always, but it's the goal. And it's not ADA required, but it's going above the
Well,
requirement.
it's part of inclusion.
Yes,
And I
it
think
is.
that that's the most important part,
Yeah.
is that it's inclusive.
Yeah, and
Because for
everybody
me-
gets to use the same facility.
Right. For me, one of the struggles that I'm having is downtown is completely inaccessible
Yes,
for an amputee unless you're wearing a prosthetic, much less somebody that's in a chair.
there's a lot of stores there that have steps to get into them. And some places, well, around town, you know, like the coffee shop we went to, you know, you couldn't get into it.
I think I would.
And you sure couldn't get to any of the places where everybody else gets to sit and hang out and do things.
Well, and I think part of that issue is that they're not required to make
No.
changes until they remodel. And downtown is historic, so they fall under a special thing where there will never be changes made. And that's unfortunate because
But they could still
We
make
can't change
changes
our
if they
mind.
wanted
They
to.
could,
That's the whole idea of teaching them, you know, you got one step, why don't you put a ramp in instead?
Right.
It's not super expensive. It's not cheap either. I mean, it's not like something you just buy a can of paint. But still, it's something that would make their business a little
And
bit
it,
more
and it,
accessible.
and it really was kind of fitting because Chief O'Connelly set up the coffee shop where we met with him. Because it's in, I don't remember the name, but it's right across the street from the police
Single
station.
speed, I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Jason met us there as well. And you know, Jason can't go in that.
He couldn't even go in
coffee
there. They made a reasonable accommodation, somebody would come out,
I probably
you know,
would
and
go
take
in
your
there.
order.
shop. You couldn't go in unless somebody
way.
carried you in.
Yeah.
In my.
So we met outside.
But
But
their
you know-
meeting area inside is totally inaccessible to anybody in a wheelchair.
It was kind of
So
interesting. It was kind of
winter
impressive for the
time,
chief to see
it's
that.
not good.
Well, and I know the owner of that, and we have talked very extensively about.
There's not a lot they
Not
could do with that
exactly.
darn building. though.
Not.
I mean, you couldn't even put a ramp in there to get down to the lower spot
And I
or
think,
the upper spot.
correct me if I'm wrong, Stacy, but if it's a historic building downtown, they have to get approval from the city, right? To make any material changes to buildings,
Outside facade and stuff, probably, yes.
but inside they don't.
Probably not so much inside as far as, you know, they can't like totally destroy the inside. You know, they have to leave some things in place, probably the roof. I don't know exactly the city. You might be able to answer
Yeah,
that.
I don't know that I have a really good answer. I know that there may be some limitations inside, minor, but definitely exterior. But given the historic part of it, I don't know what types of overlays exist. If there are overlays, that's where you might get into a little bit of trickiness, but I couldn't answer with any
Yeah.
education.
But then as Susan knows better than any of us,
Hmm.
NEU has a lot of buildings that are
absolutely.
not accessible at all. And it's like, well, you know, it's like, this is a place of education, which should be accessible. But as we learned, I've done 2 expeditions at NEU. With
And I've
Laura.
been at NEU before for one of our field trips.
Yes,
in
you
high
have.
school.
And there were places you could not go to.
Absolutely.
Keith works at CCC. We would love to do an expedition at
And I
CCC.
saw you at CCC.
And again, with the staff in a collaborative way.
Yeah.
To talk about universal.
It's all about teaching the staff, if you ask me. It's not so much about what I learned. It's about what the staff can learn.
Well, that's why,
And maybe avoid litigation, you know?
oh, absolutely.
Avoid it, maybe.
Yeah.
Two points. One, it's about closing the loop.
Yes.
So doing the expeditions, doing audits are great, but you have to have the education support to go with it. Otherwise, you're wasting your time and resources, to be perfectly honest, because if they don't know how to address the things that you are suggesting to address, they're not gonna do it. The second thing I just want to mention is you've brought up that our public library is amazing for its redesign. You may want to consider doing the July 25th or potentially on July 26th, a more visible challenge in our community, maybe the downtown, area, and do something very visible compared to City Hall and the library that isn't necessarily as visible to the general public, to the business owners who downtown might benefit from having a big group of people coming through during a day and get some information back, but also have that publicity for BFF to be able to say this is what we are doing and helping with
Yeah.
and celebrate.
I think that's a good idea. And it might not be an expedition because they're kind of a structured thing.
But something that
yeah,
brings
I think
more
you're right.
attention to the spaces that are struggling. Let's put it that way.
And I had those-
Rather than doing an expedition of a space that has just been redesigned, that is beautiful, right? And it works really, really well.
Yeah.
Because then you're not necessarily providing any publicity for your group to be more approachable to businesses outside of city facilities.
Let's talk after the meeting because just like Adam and I did at 4th Street, we might be able to do something like that. I know I have a videographer that might do it and you could maybe get some of us with different abilities.
Find some folks
Together?
with GoPros,
Yes.
strap them to all different parts
Oh, yeah.
and get different perspectives of their.
It's a visible
view
thing.
of the
Yeah.
town, right?
Joseph and I have talked about it. Sometimes you gotta use what you got.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
It's a visible thing and it's different when somebody sees Joseph not being able to climb those stairs.
Absolutely.
When they see Russ not climbing those, it's just different.
Yeah.
So, we talked about that.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely, Russ. And I told myself yesterday and I told myself the other day when I was on the paratransit, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't even be doing the paratransit today.
I
Or-
think, Joseph, I think you would be. I think you would be.
Well, if it wasn't for you, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't know where to go.
It's good, man.
But I do have my family with me, so
It's good.
anyway,
So Russ, let's talk after the meeting and see what we can get together. And I'll talk to Terrence, my friend. Let's do something. So, and I really like what Susan said about the education part of it, because that's the next thing that we're gonna be
So
talking
it's
about.
the loop.
It closes the loop.
And, and I took pizza to Chris's house last week. And he kind of talked up with me too. Sometimes I'm better, with the stick than the carrot. This is who I am. I'll smile because we know it's true.
You're just like the whole Kevin Durant thing. You know who I am, Kevin Durant.
And they all know that sometimes I kind of am really assertive and pushy. And Chris reminded me that, building partnerships, probably is not, it's probably best not to use this stick. It is better to use the carrot as you build partnerships. And I have to be reminded of that.
Yeah.
I am a passionate advocate. But Chris, who really kind of started expeditions, and now is a member of BFF, he's, Russ, you just gotta kind of remember that.
Remember.
So.
Well, and it's, as I've said, if they don't have the information, the carrot or the stick don't really matter.
Yeah.
So.
Teach them how to grab that carrot.
Yeah,
Right,
too, like
right.
that.
So I think there's some great potential in Flagstaff that these expeditions can provide the lived experience that the audit can then support. But the audits come from internal. So teaching people how to look at spaces differently and looking at administrative practices
They do
differently.
their
and
self
looking-
audits and stuff. They know how to
Right,
do
they
them properly.
have the information and knowledge to put the two things together and make something that could be really outstanding. But it's that two-part, thing. And so I do think that, all spaces in Flagstaff will benefit from both
That's part of what.
both aspects.
That's part of what our BFF is looking at, is not just municipalities, but, any public space anywhere,
Yeah.
whatever it is, whether it's outside in the sidewalks going down this street or that street,
Yeah.
or whether it's a business, or whether it's coming in here to do business here.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
I could see doing an expedition or something similar downtown on a Saturday, really busy, trying to navigate public spaces in downtown and bringing that awareness.
I think so
I
too.
think that could be very powerful.
that was one of the
city.
things on my list
Yeah.
to get it to BFF.
I think it was Metro Plan, but, when you were during the, after the resource fair in October, we did a little accessibility walk, I
Yeah.
guess,
I wasn't on it.
through downtown, but you were, Keith, and your wife was.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Last October?
Yes, the first week of
Yeah,
October.
that,
October 10th.
It was interesting,
Yeah.
and it's amazing when you're looking for it, how much of downtown is not accessible.
And you guys did south of the tracks, so that's kind of off of
Yes, you
downtown,
did.
but I don't even travel south side. You know, even in the, I wouldn't go in the bike lane first of
And
all.
there's no reason you couldn't travel south side, that's what,
Some of it's just like,
why we're trying to enlighten
you know,
people.
it's a lamp post
right,
is put right in the middle of the sidewalk.
right.
It's like, well, why did we do that?
Well, that's probably where the power was
There
40
already,
years ago.
before the sidewalk was probably
That's
put in.
probably true, that's probably
And
true.
the sidewalk was put in prior to the 1990 ADA. You know, there's so many,
There was a business that had a window on the side of their building to hand out food and stuff like that when you walk up, to buy food. And the thing stuck out that far
Yeah.
into the sidewalk, and it was like this big, and it was right there.
and someone with a cane wouldn't pick that up,
Yeah.
walk right into it.
And I will also tell you, there's some outside seating that is there now that was not there before COVID.
Right.
The bane of my existence is that outside.
That
seating.
outside seating,
I think,
But educating the businesses is part of this,
Yes, it is.
Educating the city, educating the businesses, educating the public, not to park your damn car on a sidewalk.
right. And I would recommend, getting, and I'm sure you've started or already have some publicity type materials ready to go, but
Yeah, we're working on
But
putting it together, we're
have-
building it.
have that ready to go so that, you, the day before or a couple of days before, wherever you are planning to be on that 25th or 26th, give them a heads up. This is who we are. This is what we're gonna be doing to celebrate the 35th. This is what, all of those elements, so that they can at least be aware and not be blindsided by a big group of people coming through, the area and an
Well, for
opportunity
any
to,
businesses or municipalities, we want them to participate, so we
Yep.
let them know ahead of time, even try to plan things when they have
Exactly.
people that are available.
Yep.
We don't want to do it while everybody's on vacation or, the boss or the owner is not there,
and I'll have to tell you, Keith is taking on the responsibility of building that pamphlet and those flyers. And Keith.
Mhm.
That's right.
I'm trying.
and then, welcomed here is an opportunity to do the additional ADA specific, universal design specific
Yeah.
trainings, for that internal staff. And it's a free service.
Well, I can tell you, I need more education on ADA laws. And I need more education on the difference between them and the universal design.
We all
I
do.
know what the ADA law is and, I need to learn more about the universal designs processes and their plans, that people could look at. So I'm looking into all that.
As soon as Susan gets things in order with Welcome Here, she has a fabulous 8-month class that I think we all should.
Which will be condensed to 4.
Oh, condensed to 4.
That is the plan right now. Because 8 months it's a long commitment and.
And if you
4
want to
months
see
is a little bit
proof,
more doable.
if you want to see proof of how Welcome Here has worked, go look at Lowell Observatory. They have the Welcome Here tag. They have worked incredibly hard with Susan. So another thing that,
Still working on things. It's an ongoing process,
Yeah.
so.
And Susan, we will stay in touch with you. I promise.
Yeah.
We will.
Yep.
Whether you want to hear that or not.
As long as it isn't the stick.
No, I really try.
Yeah, yeah. But I can't remember if this is an item that we are moving for, a vote or if we're waiting to do that vote at the next meeting. I
no, we're
don't
doing
have my
today.
Yeah,
agenda in front of me.
this would be the letter that was crafted to send to the city council on behalf of this group, supporting the work of BFF, and encouraging the city to do the same.
So I will move that we do send that letter.
Is there any other discussion? Oh, before we do that, I would like to, in the chat, Martin has put pictures of Thorpe Park, kind of going back to the audit that you did. we can't really see them, but if you get the chance, look at them because, you know, they look. They
It
look
must have been from the
interesting.
ribbon cutting from when it was redesigned.
And Martin, you were here then, right?
That's Josh Copley. That was a while.
I was here, yes.
You were here then, yeah, Martin was involved in that too.
Project 10 years ago.
Oh, this was the park. That's what
Yeah.
it was.
So is there any other discussion?
You should have a second.
Yeah, we need a second.
Well, I wanted to do discussion first.
You have to have a second before you do.
Okay, I will second. And then is there any other discussion?
The only thing that I would recommend is, and I said this at the previous letter review, was to just broaden and just say for our community, rather than
Absolutely.
separating out city from the community. There's two spots, paragraph 2, and I think paragraph. I did not bring my reader.
I've got it up on the screen behind you if you can see it.
Yeah, no.
She made it real big for you,
I'm
Susan.
making it real big on my own. I think it was paragraph 2 and 4. Just pointing out, city facilities and throughout our community. I would just say throughout the community. Just to make it nice and broad, because then that also might potentially approach Coconino County facilities as well.
Yes, I'm hoping for those as
So,
well.
yeah.
It
So
does say
check out.
those, Susan, throughout our community,
It's just repetitive.
and then at city facilities as well as at sites throughout our community.
Yeah, I would just say it sites throughout our community.
Oh, and take out.
Take out
I
city
see, yeah,
facilities
yeah,
as well
that's
as
good.
at
Yeah.
sites throughout our community.
Yep.
So wherever, and it's
Yep.
phrased that way, I think twice. Paragraph 2 and paragraph 4, I believe.
Oh, I'm good with that too. Yeah, absolutely.
Just to,
I'd like to
at
think-
city facilities and throughout our community.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Those two, just keep it at throughout our community. Nice and broad.
Like in our mission statement,
We did just.
saving all.
Any other discussion?
Yeah.
Okay, let's vote. All in favor of sending the letter to council on behalf of barrier-free Flagstaff, please say aye.
As amended?
As amended.
Aye.
Aye. We have 2, 3,
I said aye.
I said,
4, 5. We have 5.
Okay.
sorry. Sorry. I was kind of-
I figured you two would say nay.
I was kind of doing better. I'm sorry.
All right.
So he'll make those edits, send it to me. I'll get it off to council.
Okay.
Great.
All right, so it passes. Moving on to, and this ties directly into this, but moving on to the second thing is something that Susan and I think, have a passion for, and that is the continued discussion and possible action for the transition plan and city staff training. Susan is going to be leaving, but Susan has very generously offered to do it in virtually. Either I or someone named Sam, who you guys will have the fortune of meeting, will be here in person to help Susan. But it's something that I would like to talk about with us to see if it's something that we're interested in.
Did we get the letter to the council?
We did.
Okay,
The one
a
from,
transition plan letter. From April?
was it April? Yes. Okay.
Okay,
I was like, we
making
had a
sure
couple
that-
letters. I'm like, okay, yes.
Just making sure that it has been presented. to
It
the
has been
council.
presented, yes.
And Mayor Daggett, I'm kind of going to call you out and ask if you have had a chance to look at that letter and how you feel about that.
Hello. I have not looked at it, so my apologies.
Yes, we could.
I
resend the
think
letter.
Stacy is saying that she will resend it. Can we ask you to take a peek at that and then we'll probably be, Stacy will resend it, but we're interested in talking to the council maybe next month about this.
So council goes on
Sure
break.
Right.
Yep, so we won't be back until September.
So hopefully we'll be on one of September's city hall meetings.
Okay.
So just to be clear, the city of Flagstaff does not have an ADA transition plan. Is that?
Not that I was able to find anywhere, nor get anyone to say there was a transition plan.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I believe that to be true, because when Keith and I met with the city manager, I think representing BFF actually, he told us that he did not know
That
about,
was the 3 of us.
It was the 3.
Yes. he did not know about an ADA transition plan.
Most cities do not have them in place, and
Right.
they were asked to have them in place shortly after the 2010 amendments were made. And now with the amount of attacks on ADA across states, it is important that there is something put in place. There's a plan to at least acknowledge to the community, we have something in the works.
You know, City of Prescott, I believe, does have an ADA transition
I
plan.
did not find any other than Mesa.
When I talked to Human Resources for the City of Prescott, they told me they did have an ADA, and they actually, they
If
sent
they
me,
can send it, great.
and maybe this might be part of their plan, but they have a notice under the Americans with Disabilities Act and some specific items under their ADA. Now, I looked up, and Susan, you know more about this than I, but I looked up ADA transition plans. They're really not that hard to do.
They're not. It's just, there needs to be a commitment from
Yeah.
the city. There needs to be a group, which I would not say should just fall on CIAL. I think it needs to be those who are on the commission interested in participating in a specific transition plan committee that has members of the community across varying disabilities participating. But it goes around and looks at all the different facilities and puts together the plan of action to make changes to meet ADA
It's
requirements.
nice where you guys are the stick and you can be the carrot.
I would be more than happy to participate.
I think
I'd
it would
be more
be,
than happy to participate. I'd even like to sit in on the city staff training, if nothing else, just as to learn some of this stuff myself.
and then I do recommend reaching
If
out.
they want me there.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, if it's city staff training, they may not want an outsider in
I
there.
think Susan said that she would open it to everybody.
Yeah.
And most of us
Whoever would
would
want
want
And
to.
I'm sure they would be okay with it.
But I would highly recommend, if there's a movement for a transition plan, to connect with Dr. Sandy Heath, in the Parks and Rec Department at NAU. Sandy Heath, SANDYHEATH. Sandy Heath has put together transition plans for Austin, Texas, which is a similar type of demographic, size-wise and other things to Flagstaff. But they have a thorough expertise in transition plans specifically. And so I would highly recommend.
And
Stacy, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't we now have an ADA compliance? You just hired.
Yeah, so-
So we have a new risk manager. His name is Aaron Kaminsky. He came to us from NAU because we like to snag those good folks. So he just started. We also have extended an offer to a new HR director, who we hope to have starting in late July. And so we are beginning those conversations with Aaron about kind of what that looks like, how to get him up to speed. We're trying to really be respectful of the division itself and making sure that the HR director who oversees the risk management area is also included in these conversations. So
Can we invite both of them to one of our next meetings?
they would be they would be happy to attend. I would ask that we allow them some time to just get into this facility, get into the organization, start to understand what their role is, and then we can bring them in. I've got them generally slated for kind of probably the October
Okay.
meeting. Because I will be meeting with Aaron next month to kind of give him some information about this commission, what we're hoping to accomplish in terms of that ADA coordinator component of his position, and bring him kind of up to speed and then have him come in and meet with the commission.
So Aaron will be the ADA coordinator.
That is my understanding, yes.
And when he was hired, he understood that he would be the ADA.
I believe that was part of some of the questions that they asked in the interview. I wasn't a part of that interview panel, but I believe that there were some questions that, if not directly, but alluded to that ADA compliance.
Did you have any experience?
Yeah.
Again, I didn't sit in on those
Okay,
panels.
okay.
I don't know.
Yeah,
But coming from NAU as their risk manager, I would suspect that there may be
You
some,
would hope, one
some,
would hope.
yeah. but I think you're gonna be happy with, what he brings, to the table. So I just asking for a little more time for him to get settled in. We've had a lot of transition in HR. They're just now starting.
Wrong with the Lions there?
Oh, man. We've
Not
been
with
through
the
a
sticks
few,
being thrown.
I know, right? I know. So please know it's coming. And those conversations have started and there will be a lot of coordination with this commission.
And that would be the main source for starting the transition.
And that's the first step.
Yeah.
Having an ADA
Absolutely.
transition plan is to have an ADA coordinator. So it's like a good step.
Yeah.
Maybe you're listening, right?
Yes, she's listening.
This is the carrot there. This is.
All right, so is there any other discussion about moving forward with the transition? I think we had already voted on it, right? And approved it.
The letter.
The letter.
The letter.
Yeah.
So we're gonna just need to hear from Mayor Daggett. We're gonna need to hear from you probably next month about what happened with the letter. September.
Well, and this is listed as an action item, so we can take action on this.
Yeah.
So I will move that the commission continues to pursue an ADA transition plan at the city of Flagstaff.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Michelle? We have 5. Right, it so passes. Thank you. Perfect. All right,
Keep it on your radar.
keep it on your radar.
It's on my list for our next meeting.
There you go.
All right. Our commission meeting next month is July 23rd, which is 2 days before the ADA anniversary. So, do we?
I also have something I need to add.
Yes.
Both Georgiana and I are going to be out of the office attending training on that day. So, and we do not have an additional backup for this commission. So the reason this is on the agenda was to discuss potentially moving that meeting, or consider summer break, whatever you guys want to do, but we will not be available to offer support on July 23rd.
So I guess my recommendation would be, instead of having this commission meeting, why don't we plan to do the filming that day during this time? And then we can put something together afterwards and bring it to the commission the month after. In August,
Filming,
of the ADA compliant stuff downtown.
yeah, but that would be on a Wednesday,
Yeah,
not on a Saturday. And I like Susan's idea of doing it when that it is.
I mean, it would be have more
yeah.
attention brought
that's
to
true.
it.
And especially if done in the early evening when they have all the stuff going on in that central
Late
plaza.
afternoon, early in-
And it's gonna be completely inaccessible. I'm sorry, it just
There's-
is.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah, you're right, you're right.
Maybe more like a scavenger hunt. Okay, on this block, find a place you can go into.
Okay, we want to make it at least achievable.
So then why don't we take a vote on whether or not just to take a summer break for July?
July.
How
And if
does
you guys
everybody-
want to get together on that, that Saturday to do the filming, just make sure I know so we can get you on a possible quorum.
Following Wednesday, the 30th is open for me.
What, how do you guys feel about just going on summer break for a month? Michelle?
That sounds fine to me.
Everybody?
I would rather not. I think there's work to be done.
I think there's work to be done
But-
potentially.
But
Stacy, what other day will work?
And who's all gone in July?
I'm
And that's the other piece.
Yeah, that's another.
I'm not going, well, I am going next week, but that's about it.
There's quite a few city officials that are
yes.
out in July, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, council goes on break and we all.
Right,
sit
like,
there for the summer.
so that's just the other piece is keeping in mind the business, the work, and what you might be able to accomplish if everyone's gone.
So, I mean, I can be available the 30th, I could be available the 16th.
And do we need to do it on a Wednesday?
Probably wouldn't be bad to keep it that way.
I would recommend that you keep it on a Wednesday because I can guarantee we have a room.
Okay,
So,
Yeah, I'm good with either day, really.
So do we want to do it on the 30th, a week after?
It's fine with me.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Michelle, you would be the 4th.
Me too.
Hold on just a second. I'm beginning to think I may not have.
I'm not gonna be out of town or anything.
So we probably will not have a quorum.
Did she say not?
She said she won't be here.
She would be here.
You would be
I
here.
heard, yeah.
Yeah, I will be here, yeah.
It's not working right.
So, sorry, I want to make sure I'm looking at the right thing. I'm struggling with actually finding a room on a Wednesday, so.
Why don't we do this? As a commission, why don't we choose a place like the library that is very accessible? And then we can promote that for our commission.
Would need to be an in-person meeting,
Yeah,
because we don't have.
Don't have this.
we don't have
A good set of kind of cameras and meetings.
So what rooms do you have
Here in City Hall.
Yeah.
Neither of our big rooms are available
on either day?
on the 30th.
What about the 16th?
Let me look here. I could do the 16th, but we would need to start at 11:30.
How do you all feel about that?
Let me see.
It would be our upstairs conference room.
I'd be okay with that.
You're in a staff meeting.
I'm out of town.
Okay.
That's okay.
You're well.
Elida, how does that work for you?
Oh, what day again?
The 16th at 11:30, from 11:30 to 1?
That should work.
Michelle, does that work for you?
Texting Sarah to see.
So texting my mom to see, because I have a camp in August, but I'm texting to see. Dude, I have had, so that camps go over and I literally,
Michelle, does that work for you?
Yes.
So let's do it July 16th at 11:30. And which conference room?
The upstairs conference room.
The big one?
Yes.
Does everybody know where the big one is, not the small one? The small one is where we did our summer planning next year. When you come up the stairs, go to the left and it's right there.
By the elevator.
So you can see big windows if you go right out to the lobby and look
As
up.
far as directions, how far?
I have some directionality issues, you know.
I'll show you.
so,
You got a lot of.
so remind me again,
August 16th at 11:30.
July.
That's okay.
Oh, sorry.
July 16th at 11:30, right here?
No, we're gonna be upstairs. I'll show you, Joseph. I'll show everybody.
At 11:30, you
At
said?
11:30, not 11.
Also room. So
Lorena will not be here, but I can give her a report if she has one.
I can send out anything
Okay,
transportation related ahead of time.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. So let's go ahead and change that, and that takes care of everything there. And I think we'll probably have to do a shortened, like we won't be able to put as much stuff in the agenda.
let me pull up the working calendar really quick to see what I have. May not have anything. Well, that's not true. Hang on.
Wow.
Hello. So for July, I believe we're gonna be talking about best accessible trails in Washington state parks. Which would also include a continued discussion on accessible trail information. So that's what we have. So maybe we just keep it to that. If we have
Yeah.
any last minute action items, we can sneak those in.
Probably should make sure that Martin can be with us on the
That
16th,
is a
right?
fantastic question.
Hey, Martin.
Hey, Martin.
Hang on, let me check.
He knew quickly. I love that guy. That guy is so.
I think so.
Dale's guy.
I need to back up.
I like that guy.
I need to back up some of your transition.
The 16th works.
All right, good.
And then can you put
Sarah
BFF
Dorman
in
said
there?
that should work.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can I put what?
BFF in there to hear from the mayor
Oh,
and
got it.
then where we're gonna, the carrot, we're gonna go from there.
And then does somebody have Truman's contact information that we can reach out to see if he's available?
Susan, I have that too.
Truman at highcountryadaptive.org, I believe. Double check.
I like guys in your sink.
Sounds right, but.
For my Olympic sports.
Truman. at-
And then we'll just need a motion to change that meeting date.
Okay.
I can move.
I will second.
All in favor of changing our meeting to July 16th at 11:30? Please say aye.
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 Michelle?
Am I allowed to say aye or no?
No.
Commissioners. Okay, got you.
Okay,
Thank you.
all five say aye.
And then Martin, for that meeting, can you bring,
Pizza?
well, pizza, yeah, that would be great. Cold drinks, but,
Yeah,
but Martin, could you bring, I know we did a PowerPoint
No, thank you.
that I think you and Caitlin and I put together after Caitlin and I and other people went through the foots.
Been heavy in the trails.
Did you still have that?
Yeah, we still have it.
And then there was some paperwork too, right?
Paperwork.
Relative to, what parts of foots are accessible and more or less accessible.
Yeah, I'll have to go back. I
Okay.
think, there were a lot of photos, some videos. There might have been, a written part that Caitlin and, who were the other people who were involved. I don't remember them all at this moment, but there might have been something that they wrote up as well.
But
And then we
Martin,
did we created a
Sorry, go
PowerPoint that we presented to council as well,
Yes.
around that time.
isn't Foots under construct, there are areas that are under construction now? The fort, headed out towards Fort Tut Hill especially. I think so.
Walk that every day.
Martin, is there current construction going on Foots anywhere?
There's a couple places that are closed for other construction, and we're about to embark on a project to replace most of the asphalt trails
Okay,
over the course of the summer, starting with Fort Valley. So that will be taking place.
okay. Okay. So we'll put that on July's agenda.
And Martin, if I appreciate you bringing that PowerPoint.
I can do that. Yeah.
Thank you. And I don't know how many years ago that was now, Martin. That'd be
Well,
five.
it's been 5 years ago.
Yeah, I think so. Big COVID.
Yeah.
But, and Caitlin is Caitlin Verabooth,
Yeah.
who was the chair of the commission at one time. She also happens to use a wheelchair. And Caitlin, I think, went through all 56 miles of foots, kind of checking accessibility. And she and I did probably 15 miles of it. And Caitlin is just, because like everything's accessible for Caitlin. I mean, if it's like, if there's a set of stairs, she will climb up the stairs with you.
Yeah.
Plus, she also is very athletic.
Yes.
She's two-time Paralympian representing the United States
Mhm.
in tennis and in kayaking. So really athletic. But yeah, I mean, so some of that work has been done. So Martin, thanks for having that PowerPoint and bringing it.
And Ross, by the way, she did beat me in the Fourth of July. I'm not bad.
Joseph, in the 4th of
That's what
July
I'm talking about.
downtown mile race. That is right.
We voted, right?
Right, she
Okay.
did.
Yeah, she did.
Let's move on to our liaison reports and updates. Update from council liaison, Mayor Daggett.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm on my phone, so sorry for the small picture. I spaced what I was going to say. I can't, my apologies. I had something in mind and now I can't remember what it was, but I did want to say that I love the idea of doing the staff training. And as you know, we've got this system where all of these videos are online, and you can tell when a staff member has watched them, and I watch them and take the little tests as well. So what a great idea.
Thanks, Mayor. If you think of what you forgot, we still have a few liaison updates, so we'll just put you right back in if you remember. Moving on to our transportation liaison, Lorena, take it away.
Yeah, so some big news for Mountain Line. We have our largest fixed route service change actually that will be implemented and rolling by July 27th. And that includes the Woody Mountain corridor. So we're finally gonna have
That's awesome.
fixed route service. And anytime that the fixed route service expands, that also includes paratransit. So any services that are an accompaniment are also, will be adjusted in the same robust manner, including the hours of operation. So we're really excited. We're still working furiously with ADOT for the Route 66, West Route 66 corridor. But fingers crossed, all those Ts will be crossed and Is will be dotted, and we will have our stops guaranteed on the north side of West Route 66. We are still going to have to work with some different construction that's going on for the south side of West Route 66. As you know, there's no sidewalk infrastructure there, but we have great communication with Kit Carson and Wildwood Hills, and they're really, they've been very forward and encouraging, you know, for that bus stop connectivity on the south side. So you will see that those stops will be included in our new ride guide, but they will not be served probably until later in the fall, just due to the need for added infrastructure and partnering organizations that are making that happen outside of course, Mountain Lion jurisdiction. So, and with that said, we also have our Coordinated Mobility Council rolling out on August 22nd. There are 5 Fridays in August, so this is the 4th. Typically, this meeting happens on the 3rd Friday. It is happening on the 4th Friday, which is August 22nd from 10 to noon. If anyone in this group wants more information on that, I will drop my name in the email that goes out for this group, and that way you can reach out to me personally and I'll get you any information you need, and happy to send that invite your way. So that's what we have for now.
Let me ask a question about para.
Sure.
Right now, para ends at 6
Mhm.
PM. Is there any talk about extending that out?
So when fixed route phases in, all our longer service hours, that will be immediately complemented. with
Yes.
paratransit.
Okay,
And so that date remains in the near future. But as far as service expansion, you can expect that to roll out on July 27th. That has been confirmed.
awesome.
And
Thank
Lorena, when is that beautiful new facility going to be open?
It's open.
So we have our grand opening, I believe it's August. Now I really have to reference my dates here. Hold on.
Could be a date for me too. I might take my wife.
Let me go back and check my email because it has moved around a little bit, and I will add that into this group. But I believe it's actually in the upcoming 2 weeks that we will be having our grand opening and ribbon cutting.
Will there be refreshments?
I'm sure there's gonna be snacks.
It's gonna be a date then.
So hold that question. I will answer it shortly.
So Lorena, I don't pay for the Arizona Daily Sun because, well, I just don't. But there was something in the paper about there's gonna be a civic center. Is that gonna be right there?
So that's gonna be part of phase 2, and that is the city and Mountain Lion and the Army Corps of Engineers are all working together. Our portion is phase 1, which is complete. But yeah, there's some really exciting stuff coming down the pipes for the Civic Center. And I know that PROS is working extensively with some of those developments. So again, I'll put a pin in it, but that is part of phase 2, and I would expect to start seeing some of that construction maybe in the next 2 to 3 years. It really is dependent on the Rio flag
Yeah.
management and how that construction goes. And I'm not sure if Martin can speak to that or not, but that's a little bit out of my purview as far as exact dates and where we stand. But it's basically falling on the backs of the Army Corps of Engineers and their Rio de flag management. So.
Martin, you're muted. Did you want to add?
I really don't know when the Rio project is going forward. I don't know that there is a definitive date, and I certainly don't know it if there is.
And I just, from what I read in the newspaper, Lorena, the Rio de flag is really kind of the thing.
It is.
And the Army Corps of Engineers can be kind of an interesting group of folks to work with. But
Like Martin said, the dates are just, they're not conceivable yet, but I imagine that at some point, the phase two will be in the limelight, in the upcoming years, so.
What a cool thing, right?
Yeah, it's really neat. It's a really neat space.
Bless you.
If you are
Bless
interested,
you.
we had a presentation at council. I think it was last week, so sorry, I don't remember what date, it'll come to me in a second, but they presented the concept plan for what that space is going to look like, or what they're hoping that space will look like, so I'd recommend, go back and either watch the video or look at the materials online, that's got some visuals, but it's pretty exciting what they're proposing to bring in, so. What was the date?
It's so good for South Downtown.
And your
21st.
grand opening date for the Downtown Connection Center is August 6th.
Sure. Thank you. My wife knows.
I'll be sure to get my Ben's household down there.
That's right. That's right.
Ben's household.
The baby.
Thanks, already. Next, we are gonna hear from Joseph Spence on the line of file.
Thank you. Update on my end, finally got this chair fixed. It took me about 4 to 6 months to get this thing fixed, because one of our former buddies, and I'm not gonna disclose the name, but he had an umbrella stuck in the back of the engine at Dirty Birdies, and I was trying to go down. It's like a sports bar place, and I was,
We're in a bar.
I was actually, but no drinking required, but I was trying to go down, but then the umbrella snapped and it broke and it snapped the engine. But we were able, just trying to line to know if you guys have ever seen this before regarding all this. We were able to finally be able to get this thing fixed, but it took a little while because my insurance wouldn't cover it. And it took a lot of digging, but thank God we were able to get this thing going.
Joseph. No, I'm still taller than you, Joseph.
That's still taller than any of you.
Everybody's taller.
But other than that, the sports, the family's been great. Celebrated my 24th birthday at Camp Civitan last week. Everybody had a great birthday for me. It was great.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you guys. Appreciate that.
Joseph, you're kind of losing that youth kind of thing in the youth liaison.
I am. Camp has
Joseph, what
been really
happened
kicking
with NACOP this month?
Do we have an update on that, Michelle?
Let's let Elida do it.
Elida?
Well, yesterday morning, I realized I didn't have an invite and I reached out for one, but didn't get one before the meeting. And I think it's just, I was busy on Tuesdays for a while until my schedule changed. So I'm gonna have to reach out more and make sure I get back on that list.
For NACOP.
Michelle, do you, or Russ, do you have any NACOP
Michelle's unmuted.
updates?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, yeah, so we are on our summer break right now, so we haven't had any meetings. We will be having our summer retreat soon. I'm gonna be sending out some date options to the team. So then at that time, we'll be voting for, chair and all that for next year. So that's where we're at right now.
Awesome. All right, anything else from youth?
I think we're good for right now.
Okay. Update for sidewalk liaison, that's Jamie, but he is not able to attend. He actually is hoping to get back on the commission. But in the meantime, him and I are we're kind of waiting for the police committee, and I'll talk about that. The police committee to get going, to talk about some sidewalk stuff. So, as police liaison, what I'll tell you guys is the chief has asked to start a crossability commission. We are looking for other people before we have our first meeting. So if you would like that invite, please let me know and I will get the member handbook and the application out to you. But what we will be doing, and Russ or Elida or Keith, you can add in if I forget something, but we basically will be a committee that gets together to talk about ADA, and I'm hoping the way that police officers deal with people with disabilities as well. There will be a core group that if there is a major incident in town, chief will call those people and we will all get together and kind of decompress, is that a word?
Yes, it is.
And process.
And process. And hope that that's a learning opportunity for everybody involved. So, that's kind of where we're at. Jamie is hoping to throw some sidewalk stuff in there as well. And so,
And Jamie has applied,
yes,
and we have applied.
1, 2, 3, 4. We've all 4 applied. I think I've got 6 or 7 applications. Rumen,
What are the requirements?
nothing.
Attend the meeting
Attend
every
the meeting.
quarter.
And be
It'll
a
be-
part of planning one event per year.
That's right.
There's many students who may want to be involved.
Okay, you know, therapeutic recreation, we've got Truman.
No, like specific students with
Students.
disabilities that
Okay.
might want to be involved.
I'll get with you to get the NAU disability email so I can get it out. We are looking for, I've got 7 and we would like to have 15. And so if you guys can send out, and I will resend it, but if you guys can send out the email with the member handbook and the application attached, then, and just let your people know that we're looking to fill those spots as quickly as possible. We were hoping to have a first meeting in June. We're looking, I think, at the middle of July now. And so if you guys can get your applications in, that would be absolutely fabulous. And if you can disseminate everything, if we get more than 15, then we weed them out. And then the other thing that I want to say as police liaison, as part of our cross ability committee, Deputy Chief Charles Hernandez was promoted to Deputy Chief over criminal investigations, I believe. But he will be our liaison for that committee. And so we are hoping that he will also be the liaison for this commission because we currently don't have one. We don't know if we want to cross the committee and the commission too much, but Charles Hernandez is now the liaison for the committee. So that's the report I have for police.
And he's local, which is kind of a nice thing too. I mean, and he is really local. I mean, he grew up in Sunnyside.
Yeah.
And Michelle, did I send that out to the community practice transition team?
Send what out? Sorry.
The information about the police chief's cross ability advisory board and an application.
I don't remember seeing anything on that.
And should
All
do that.
right, there you go.
See,
I can go to your Siri and be like, hey, remind me this.
Okay. Any other discussion about any of our liaisons and things that we need to talk about with them? All right, next on our agenda is information items to and from Inclusion and Adaptive Living Commission members and staff liaison. Michelle, go ahead. Michelle, did you just forget to remute?
well, actually, I was just gonna respond to Russ real quick. I was just checking the email. I don't see anything. I don't see that we received anything about that, Russ.
I'll send it out.
Right. B minus.
Any information items from city staff, from commission members, from anybody? All right. With that, I will adjourn at 12:19. And everybody have a good summer. I know a lot of you are on vacation. I think I'm on perma vacation, so. But thank you to all of you for attending and I will adjourn the meeting.
Thanks.
Oh, we will be meeting at 1 o'clock.
We can meet, we need probably about 15 to 20 minutes to
Yeah.
get things set up because we're gonna have to move rooms. So we'll meet in the council chambers and let's just say maybe 12:45 or that's a
Yeah.
little.
I'd say 12:50 maybe. But it's up to you guys.
We got what, 20?
I don't know, 36.
How about 12:40? That gives us about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And we'll just reconvene over there. And for those that are online, we're gonna go ahead and disconnect this meeting, but at 12:40, if you want to rejoin this same meeting, we'll just be in a different room. This is the same link to use.
And for those of you who are in attendance, Russ has brought goodies and I ordered pizza that will be here shortly, so.
Oh, heck yeah.
And I also,
We got chocolate.
We got chocolate.
It came from Sarah.
No, that chocolate's mine.
Keep from Nova Scotia, but the